Right then, welcome back to the channel. My name is Stephen Howson, and this is a tactical preview of Manchester United against Southampton. Southampton are going to prove a tough ask for Manchester United. They've had a fantastic start to this season. They had a weird season last season. Obviously, we saw them lose 9-0. That was a bit of a turning point, and fair play to Southampton to sticking with Ralph Hasenhüttl at the time, because I think that many people would have pulled the trigger at that moment. But it does seem like they've stuck with their man. They're seeing the fruits of that labour now, and I don't know how much of this is down to them not having Europe, being able to take advantage of a pre-season that some of the bigger teams haven't quite had. But they're playing some good football, and Ralph Hasenhüttl has actually put in a real good system into place with Southampton. They've brought back 4-4-2, or some would call it maybe a 4-2-2, but they're playing a two-striker system. That's different. That's dangerous. And let's get into what he's actually doing and what his preferred 11 is. So he had a 4-2-2 system at RB Leipzig, and he's brought it over to Southampton, and it's doing well for them, to be honest. He built both that and this philosophy on having two deep-lying, hard-working central midfielders. He then has two wide playmakers, more like wingers in the Beckham role than the Giggs role, if that makes sense. So wide midfielders who like to playmake rather than, out-and-out wingers, and two strikers, usually a bit of a blend of partnership, usually pace, usually power, something along those lines. Almost like traditional 90s big man, little man sort of partnerships. But I like a two-striker system. I'd love to be able to play one with Paddock FC. Haven't really found the players and the system for that just yet, but I do like a two-striker system. It's not right for everyone, but it is right when you've got the right players for it, and Hasenhüttl seems to be finding the right players for it. So Alex McCarthy has cemented his spot as the first choice goalkeeper for them, with right back Kyle Walker-Peters, left back Ryan Bertrand, playing massive roles in this system for Hasenhüttl. Jan Bednarek and Yannick Vestergaard have been ever present for him at centre-half, which is a point of weakness that we can definitely look for United to potentially expose, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. Romeu is the hard-working, ball-winning central midfielder, and he's partnered with James Ward-Prowse in all 9 league games so far this season. They've built up a decent little partnership. Stuart Armstrong is bound to start on the right-hand side with the absolutely rapid Ginepro, usually favoured on the left-hand side. Danny Ings is going to be a miss for the Saints, big time, and that's a positive for United as he recovers from knee surgery. And it's Theo Walcott that's taken his place up front alongside a pretty informed Che Adams. Hasenhüttl almost never rotates his side, so it's quite easy for us to pinpoint what his 11 is very likely to be. But it's still a dangerous side nonetheless. The star man in this team, if Danny Ings would have been playing, we'd have been talking about Danny Ings, because Danny Ings is an absolute handful. But because he's not playing, you have to look a little bit further back. And if we go a little bit further back, James Ward-Prowse for me is the one. And it's the chances have been coming largely over the last year from Ward-Prowse. He's part of a very energetic midfield too, like we said, alongside Romeu. And he's usually the more advanced, the one that's given a little bit more freedom to roam, a little bit more freedom to get up the pitch. Kyle Walker-Peters usually likes to bomb up alongside offering options, but when Ward-Prowse starts to move forward, he's going to tuck in and he's going to make sure. And this is what's good about this system, is it's almost seamless. Someone moves up into an area, someone will cover, and I like it, and it's good. Now, Ward-Prowse has been directly involved in 4 goals in the last 4 Premier League games. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist, which is more than he had in the previous 28 outings in the competition. He only managed 1 goal and 2 assists. So he's become a big player in this team. He's also created 12 chances this season and got an 86% pass accuracy while completing 562 passes, in all 3 of which he's recorded more than any other Southampton player. So he is the playmaker in this team that United need to look to try and disrupt, and if not disrupt, block what he's doing or block his end product. He's also a massive threat from dead ball situations. Guy can smack a free kick. 32% of all of his Premier League goals have been from direct free kicks, with 8 out of 25. If Southampton are going to create chances for Che Adams, and probably for Theo Walcott as well against United, Ward-Prowse will be the guy that is doing that in the middle of it. So what can United exploit then? Again, quick transitions. We saw recently Tottenham 5-2 win at Southampton. It was a perfect indication of where you can expose this Southampton team. Off the ball, Southampton like to push up very high, and whilst this can be pretty effective when it comes to breaking teams down, as we've seen ourselves, you can get caught out, and Spurs did a very similar thing to Manchester United, if we're being honest with ourselves. That means that you can be fragile when the possession is turned over. Centre-halves are not the quickest, which means you can get in behind them. If you put pressure on the midfield, you steal the ball off Romeu, you steal the ball off James Ward-Prowse, United definitely have the pace, we definitely have the ability to cause damage and get in behind them, and that's what United have to do. Southampton aren't going to hit us with a low block. So the opportunity is there for United to get in behind them, and much like the Spurs game against them, there's a very good chance that this is a high-scoring game. Now, I think United could have a single defensive midfielder to look after the defence, but I think he's going to go with a 4-2-3-1 in this instance. I think he's going to go back to McTominay and Fred, or Matic and Fred. Not 100% sure which. It might even be Matic and McTominay, because I think he's going to think, I need to get someone to look after Che Adams. I need to maybe protect that defence a little bit, and also we need to protect from the opposition midfield. So I think he's going to make sure that we've got at least 2 in there. And 4-2-3-1 is almost going man for man with them in that situation. So I think that's what we're going to want to do. United need to make opportunities count at the other end. I think that and unfortunately it probably does mean Van der Beek doesn't play this week, but I think United probably need to look for quick transitions, and I'm very torn on this, and I'll talk about this when I get into my 11. We've got to make the transitions quick. Rashford, Marshall, Cavani, if he plays. We've got to find those players, we've got to get the ball up the pitch, and we've got to try and get in behind this Southampton team. And United are more than capable of doing that, but it does very much depend on the personnel that we choose. The space is there. Against Spurs, Southampton were pressured off the ball in midfield by Kane. This is something that we could see Bruno Fernandes doing, and he would then send a through ball through along the ground or over the top, and someone would run onto him. I see Bruno to Rashford, Bruno to Marshall. I see that all day long as something that we could do. Southampton were also exploited in a similar sense against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. This time, they couldn't handle the pace of Timo Werner. He scored 2 similar goals in the first half. Cavani, maybe, in the Kane role, coming back, linking play, allowing the 2 forwards, Marshall and Rashford, to get in beyond him. Possibly Fernandes, looking for the runs in the channels ahead of him. Bednarek and Vestergaard, not blessed with pace, not quick. Definitely allow them. I wouldn't say United need to be in a low block when Southampton have the ball, but I would allow them to come onto us. I would allow them to have the confidence to move up the pitch, and I would look to exploit the massive space in behind them. Both of their both major Southampton weaknesses come from being pressured off the ball. So if United are going to beat them this weekend, the ball retention, high intensity, and pressing, it's not about pressing them and keeping them in their half. It's about pressing their defence, pressing their midfield, looking to win turnovers when they've got a high defensive line behind them. That's where I think United can exploit this team, and that's what I'm hoping United are going to do to exploit this team. Let's have a look at United's starting 11. Right then, here's my Manchester United starting 11. And get your questions and comments in. I'll be coming and reading some of the questions and comments a little bit later on in the video. But let's talk about Manchester United then. David De Gea in net, no shocks there, I don't think. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, midweek in the Champions League against Istanbul Başakşehir, he played a very withdrawn role. He was almost playing on the same line as the 2 defenders, the 2 central defenders. Alex Telles was the one given the free rein to move up the pitch. I like that. I would like to do the same sort of thing again. These three kind of sit back and protect. Alex Telles, given the rein, to get in beyond and put some crosses in. When's the most effective crosses coming in? When Cavani plays. But let's talk about the forwards in a second. I've gone with Van der Beek. I think that performance from Van der Beek, for me, was man of the match against Istanbul on Tuesday night. For me, was man of the match. That means he has to play again. I don't think it'll be Fred that plays alongside him. I do think you need someone with a bit of height, a bit of physical presence. Unfortunately, that's where Van der Beek is missing out a little bit. And I've gone with Nemanja Matic. Obviously, he came off the bench in midweek. I think he'd be ready to start at 90 minutes. And later on in the game, you can switch him out for Fred or possibly McTominay when you do need to bring in a little bit of legs. But I would hope we start the same way that we did against Istanbul. And that means that we can put some pressure on them early doors. And we can actually maybe get a win under our belts before half-time, like we did against Istanbul on Tuesday night, which is a very good performance. So Van der Beek and Matic, what I want from Van der Beek, I want him following James Ward-Prowse. He's a player that knows what a playmaker needs. He knows about incisive balls. He knows someone that's going to try and look to pass between the lines. So who's the perfect guy to stop him? We saw a Michael Carrick on the ball performance from him against Istanbul. Has he also got the ability to be a Michael Carrick off the ball, blocking off the passing lanes, blocking off the obvious places for us to be passed through? I think he can. I think he's a very intelligent footballer. So Matic and Van der Beek, I think, is a good screen for the defence. And also, yes, he might be a defensive midfielder in a lot of people's eyes, but he's also a midfielder that's going to be playing the ball forward all the time as well. And I think that's what you need in this team. Bruno, obviously, I don't really need to say much about Bruno. I quite like Rashford on the right-hand side. I don't think he had a great game in himself, but I think him on the right-hand side is very effective, and I would like to see him on the right-hand side this time against Southampton this weekend. Having two threats with pace of Martial and Rashford, with Cavani down the middle, doing the hold-up play, doing that Kane role maybe, him or Bruno, looking for link-up play. We saw his average position against Istanbul on Tuesday. It was extremely deep. I think if he plays this weekend, him and Tellers have probably nailed about where the crosses need to go. And I think that his involvement through the centre is massive. And Martial and Rashford coming down the wings is going to be a place that we can massively exploit this Southampton team. So it's a largely unchanged team from Istanbul. And the reason for that is that I think that Ollie, when he finds things that work, he likes to ride that shit into the cliffs. So that's how I see this United team working. Again, Matic, be the glue that holds that midfield together. Van der Beek, want him to be doing the screens. Let's get the ball to the wingers. Let's get in behind this Southampton defence. And let's get some shots off on target as well. And I think that United can easily put away a very dangerous Southampton team if we play to those strengths. Where are we going to fuck it up? We're going to fuck it up if you see Mata or James. You're going to fuck it up if you see probably Fred and McTominay in midfield. I think you'll struggle to get it to Bruno. I think they'll just stick Romeo on Bruno and they'll be like, yeah, deal with that now, mate. Romeo will stick to him like glue, and that'll be very difficult for us to overcome. Righty then, let's have a look at some of the questions from you guys in the Discord group. Right then, as I said, we're going to come to some of the questions in a second, so make sure you are getting your questions in, and we'll be coming to them in a little minute. Before we come to the questions, though, this video is brought to you by the guys at Edge Sports. Now, a few of you have been asking, where do we get some of the data from and things like that, and we're going to talk you through where we get it from now. So Edge Sports is a platform that allows you to check out all different sports, not just football. They're sponsoring today's video, and I have got a discount code for you in the link, which will be in the description. Edge Sports creates simulation models that simulate every single major sporting event. They simulate it a number of times to find out what the projected outcome is and the chance of each result. This gives you powerful prediction tools for planning, for betting, and for analysis. For football, or as they call it on their site, soccer, they rank each team based on attack, defence, strength of schedule, and it's actually really interesting to see where they are. They've actually got United coming in at 4th, which I'll show you guys at the moment, because I think it's quite interesting with it. We're going to have a look in a second. There you go. There's the current rankings. Chelsea top, Liverpool second, Liverpool second, Tottenham in third, United in 4th. A lot of that based on the strength of the upcoming schedule, as well as where they're ranking the attack and the defence and that sort of stuff. But let's have a quick gander first at United against Southampton. So as you can see, some of the different matchups here, they reckon that City are going to absolutely pummel Burnley. It's probably a good shout. But let's have a look at United and Southampton this week. If you click the link in the description and subscribe to Edge Sports, you can subscribe to their soccer package for just $9.99 a month. Or you can get access to all of their sports for $19.99. And if you do that monthly, but you can get a massive discount by doing it for yearly. And you can get it as cheap as $24.99 if you use the discount code Howson50. That's Howson 50. Right, so here's United against Southampton. It's got United having a 48.7% chance of winning this game, with Southampton only a 29.1% chance of winning this game. As we was talking about when it comes to the strength of schedule and things like that, it thinks that Southampton got a pretty easy run in. United have got a bit of a rougher one. Their offensive ranking is not as high as ours. Their defensive rating is not as high as ours, but it is giving us a score prediction of 1-1. I find that quite interesting. And actually, even though I don't necessarily agree with it, I think it's probably not far off, and I could certainly see this game being 1-1. As you can see with this one here, you look at the spread of outcomes. The spread of outcomes shows you the most common margin of victory expected in the Edge Sport model, and it's got the full range of outcomes seen in the simulation. So if you can see that one there, United to win by 1, 18%. If you say tie, it's 22, 15% chance of Southampton to win by 1. And as you can see, the weight of whether United win by 4, United to win by 3, but it looks like the most common thing there is United to probably just shade it, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking somewhere in the region of 2-1, especially when you look at what they're saying here for the over and under outcome is 3 goals looks like the most common one there. So I'm going to reckon I'm going with 2-1 for United in this one. Now, I think we should also look at the Chelsea and Spurs one as well. Let's have a look at that one. Quite interesting matchup, this one. It's got Chelsea 49% chance of winning, Tottenham with a 30% chance of winning. Look at the strength of the schedules there. Both of them got minging schedules coming up. It's got Chelsea's offense ranked as number 1 with Spurs as number 4. Chelsea's defense is ranked at number 3 with Tottenham's at number 7. But again, they're predicting a 1-1 score and a similar sort of spread there, with it being quite a lot in Chelsea's favour there. And by the looks of things, 2 or 3 goals looks like the most common one. As we said, if you click the link in the description and subscribe to Edge Sports, you can get the soccer package for $9.99 a month, or you can get access to all of their sports for $19.99, and you can actually get the whole thing for up as little as $24.99 for the entire year if you use the coupon code Howson50. That's Howson 50. All right, let's have a look at some of the questions then from you guys in the Patreon group. Jack says, how do we beat Southampton press since we've struggled against the high press this season? Now, some of you might have noticed that the early part of the preview today was pre-recorded. I didn't have the information that Scott McTominay was likely to be not featuring in this game. That obviously came in Ollie's press conference a little bit later on in the day. But I went with Matic and Van der Beek. And the reason I went with Matic and Van der Beek is that forward passing of... You're not going to ruffle Matic in possession the way you can ruffle Fred and the way you can ruffle McTominay. So I think having someone that's as unruffleable as Matic in there, and the defensive things that he's going to do and help out with Che Adams is massive. But having someone like Van der Beek, the quality on the ball of Van der Beek is something that you desperately need in there. And I think that's how you beat the press. And as soon as you're through the press, you're up against defenders that United are better than. Just plain and simple. Is it finally time to never play Marshall as a number 9 anymore? Cavani showed exactly how absolutely fundamental a proper striker with proper striker movement is to Ollie's system. I think that's a little bit giddy. I don't think you can definitely say, oh, we'll never see him in the striking role ever again. I don't think that's likely. I think that's you are going to probably see more of Tony Marshall as a number 9, because I don't think Cavani can play the 55, 60 games that he would be required to play for United. But as I've said for about a year and a half, I don't think Ollie's having him. And that's just my opinion, and I'm basing that on the fact that he's tried to sign numerous strikers that are more suited to being proper out-and-out number 9s. With his willingness to play for the team and seemingly being able to do anything he wants to, I think that Marcus on the right could be a long-term solution if we don't sign you-know-who in January. One benefit, we could play James in his preferred position where he looks a lot better. I disagree that James looks a lot better on the left. And I also think that if you play Marcus on the right, he'd have to completely change his game. At the moment, he's a left forward that comes in onto his right foot and shoots. He would have to change his game, and I'm not sure a good long-term solution is to do that, to be honest. And I think ultimately he's a good player that can play on the left. Che Adams been directly involved in 6 goals in 7 league games. Southampton, 3 goals, 3 assists. How impressed have we been with him? He's a very informed player for them at the moment. It was only Ward Pros that we went for as the star man, probably just behind Danny Ings, really. But yeah, Che Adams been in banging form at the moment. I think he's doing all right. Again, the same old question. If we beat Southampton, are we mounting a title charge? No. Let's just see how it goes. Let's just collect the points and see where we find ourselves at the end of the season. Last year, we struggled from set pieces, with Vestergaard batting the equaliser. Are United equipped to deal with the aerial threats in general? It's another reason I picked Matic. I don't think we are fully equipped to deal with the aerial threat. You've got Maguire. Outside of him, you haven't got a lot, really. So that's why I've gone with Matic as well. Are Southampton the biggest surprise of this season? How do I rate the job Howson has done there? I think he's doing very well, but again, it shows what patience can do. I think Dean Smith's job at Aston Villa might be equally, if not more, impressive. Again, you're going to see all of the teams that haven't got European football, Everton aside, you're going to see these teams sort of move up and do bits this season when it's going to be really unpredictable. Southampton are doing well, and I rate the job he's done. And I was shocked actually to not see him get sacked after they lost 9-0, because you're almost like, wow, you are. I mean, where do you even come back from that? They could finish above Leicester this season. What a turnaround that's been, or would be. Cavani's experience proved invaluable against Istanbul. Could him through the middle and Marshall, Rashford, Greenwood playing off be a long-term solution for this season? Yes, I do think it would, but it won't be every game. He might just play once a week, I would think. I don't think he plays twice a week. And I know you're like, well, you've just predicted him playing twice this week. Yeah, I have predicted him playing twice this week, but we played on Tuesday. This game's on Sunday. That's almost a week apart. So, and he hasn't played a hell of a lot before that. Do you think Tellez and Maguire could build a partnership in regards to set pieces? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? When you watch Old United and you see how often Vidic used to get his head on stuff, we've got nothing like that at the moment, and I'd love to see that. Does Cavani be in the squad help Tellez? Crossing ability is fantastic, but Marshall isn't. Well, it's not just Marshall. It's Marcus, Mason. None of them are getting, and Dan James, Mata. None of these people are getting on the end of crosses. So yeah, absolutely, Cavani is a big one for that. Will our chronic lack of movement off the ball cause us to struggle? I didn't think we had lacked movement against Istanbul. Maybe it was because it was Istanbul, but no, I think we looked okay off the ball. And again, it's another symptom of having somebody on that right-hand side is that there's a little bit more space. Am I worried about Saints press? You have to be aware of it. You can't just say no. You have to be aware, but I think there is a way that you can play through it. Spurs shown that. With the bizarre way results have gone this season for many teams, could we repeat the fucking 6-3 blip game from 96? Oh my God, I hope not. Oh, can you imagine that with social media? I hope not. I don't think so either, to be honest. I'm not sure. Well, I was going to say I don't see this United team conceding 6, but it wasn't that long ago we conceded 6, was it? So I'll keep my mouth shut. Do I think that United might decide to go long at goal kicks would be a better solution than beat the press than trying to play around it? Yeah. And with Cavani, you've got someone that you can do that to. When you don't have that option, you don't have that option. And that's the nightmare that you can find yourself in. But, it is what it is. Right, that is it from me. But cheers to everyone for tuning in. Hey, do us a favour. Like the video if you're digging the graphics when we're talking about the teams, because they take a lot of work to put together. So give us a like if you enjoyed that sort of stuff. Get any questions and comments in. I'll be answering some questions as soon as this video finishes in the comments as well for the next 20 minutes or so. So make sure you get some questions in. And if you want to check out where we're getting some of the data from, then Edge Sports is the place for you to go. Like I said, you can get stuff from just $9.99 anyway, but with the discount code that we've got, Howson50, you can get up to 50% off. There's also a 7-day trial and 50% off all the packages with Howson50 code. So go check it out. If you're building an ACCA this weekend, might be worth looking at. Might be a way to help decide when you think a game's 50-50. Go and see the data that they've got from there. The strength of schedule one's a big one because how hard they've had it and how hard they've got it coming up is a real way that games can go left and right. So go check that out. The link for that is in the description. And I'll see you guys for the watch along on Sunday. Laters.